What's good YouTube, and welcome to the house. I'm fresh out of the shower from the gym, about to go to bed, and what drops? The rest of the Witchcraft archetype. Now, I haven't read any of these, and I'm very excited to get into them as the spells are here, so let's go ahead and start reading. This is my first look at a lot of these two. Witchcraft Petiteur. A level 3 water spellcaster, attack 1000, defense 1500. You can only use each of this card's name's effects once per turn. During the main phase, I'm guessing it's a tag out. Quick effect, you contribute this card and discard a spell card from your hand. Special summon a witchcraft monster from your deck, except for Petiteur. You can banish this card from your graveyard and draw a card. Then send a witchcraft card from your hand to the graveyard, or if you do not, banish your entire hand. Yikes! You better have one when activating this effect then. But at least it is a hand fixer, it would seem. And I'm guessing you're going to want certain witchcraft cards in the graveyard already from what we've seen. So, not the worst thing. This really does seem like danger for the graveyard so far to me. This is pretty crazy. Alright, we've got Witchcraft Edel, a level 5 light spellcaster effect monster, attack 2000, defense 2400. You can only use the effect of this card's name once per turn. Alright, alright. Quick effect, you can discard one spell card, special one witchcraft monster from your hand, except for Witchcraft Edel. Alright, so we've gone a different direction. She's a level 5, she's harder to get out, so when you discard, you're getting the monster out of your hand onto the field. You can tribute this card, then target a spellcaster monster in your graveyard, except for Witchcraft Edel. Special summon that monster. Very interesting that that's not archetype locked. So, when she gets out, she's allowing you to perhaps mix and match with other decks. I've heard people are testing, with other engines such as the Spellbook engine so far. How far can the mix go? I don't know. But this opens up a couple doors. Uh-oh. We got other big grills. Witchcraft Heine? Please don't be Heine. Please, no, not like this. A level 7 Dark Spellcaster effect monster, attack 2400, defense 1000. You can only use the second effect of this card's name once per turn. Other Spellcaster monsters you control cannot be targeted by opponent's effects, so a little bit of protection. Quick effect, you can discard a spell card from your hand, then target one face-up card your opponent controls, destroy that card. Lord Zodiac Dryden at the cost of a spell from your hand, and only face-up cards. Okay. This isn't bad. This isn't bad at all. But still, to get it out seems pretty specific without the spells yet, doesn't it? Although we can get them to graveyard, revive them. Alright, let's get to some spells. This is what I'm excited for. Witchcraft Creation, a normal spell card. You can only use one of this card's effects names per turn, and only once that turn. Add a witchcraft card from your deck to your hand. From your deck to your hand, just search any witchcraft card. Alright, during your end phase, if you control a witchcraft monster while this card's in the graveyard, you can add this card to your hand. Okay, I can see why this would be once per turn. So, like, it's a really slow resource at worst later, just completely free if you haven't activated one of these during the turn. And otherwise, it's Rhoda for anything. Spell or trap. Wow. This card is pretty insane. It's bonkers, actually. It's a later resource or a current addition. That's really good. No matter what, it's useful. Witchcraft Sabotage, a normal spell card. You can only use one effect of this card's name per turn, and only once that turn. I'm sensing a theme here. Target a witchcraft monster in your graveyard. Special summon that monster. Reborn for Witchcraft, alright. During your end phase, if you control a witchcraft monster while this card's in the graveyard, you can add this card to your hand. They all are gonna self-replace. This is nuts. This is insane. Witchcraft Collaboration, a normal spell card. You can only use one effect of this card's name per turn, and only once that turn. Reading the second effect first. During your end phase, if you control a witchcraft monster while this card's in the graveyard, add it to your hand. Weird. First effect, target one witchcraft monster you control. During this turn, that monster can attack twice during each battle phase. Also, if that monster attacks, your opponent cannot activate spell or traps until the end of damage step. Okay, so it turns them into a Utopia that can attack twice. That's a little bit interesting, getting the damage in. I don't know that that's necessarily going to be busted in the deck, but might be necessary as spells. Well, there's a lot of spells so far, actually. Witchcraft Draping, a quick play spell card. You can only use one effect of this card's name per turn, and only once that turn. Looks like the second effect is the same kind of, it's going to be able to add itself back if there's a monster. Target a spell or trap your opponent controls up to the number of witchcraft monsters you control. Return those cards to the hand. Alright, I was hoping for destruction there. I guess they're trying not to let this archetype get too broken in, but you have, I guess, a searchable answer to spell and traps within the deck. Haven't seen a field spell yet. Witchcraft by Street, a continuous spell card. You can only use the second or third effect of this card's name once per turn, and only once that turn. Each turn, the first time each of your witchcraft monsters would be destroyed by battle or effects, they are not, some protection from stuff like Ogre. Okay. If you would discard from the hand to activate the effect of a witchcraft monster, you can send this card to the graveyard instead. During your end phase, if you control a witchcraft monster while this card's in the graveyard, you can place this card in your spell and trap zone face up. Oh, okay, a little bit of a twist there, a little bit of a twist. It's gonna become the protection that you so desired, and it's during your end phase. Interesting, and it doesn't really restrict. So, if you would discard, you can use this as a resource, but you can only use the second or third effect once per turn, and only one of them. So you can't use them both. You can't, like, discard and then get this effect to plop it up in the same turn. It's not, I was starting to think this was a little more broken than it might be, but that's still pretty cool. Another continuous, and then, ooh, a trap's coming up. Alright, we got Witchcraft Scroll, a continuous spell card. You can use the second or third effect of this card's name once per turn, and only once that turn. Okay, so once per turn, when a spellcaster monster you control destroys a monster by battle, you can draw a card. That's not bad. It's still battle-based, relies on the opponent. If you would discard from the hand to activate the effect of a witchcraft monster, you can send this card to the graveyard instead. So that's while it's face up, I guess, after you've gotten use. And then during your end phase, if you control a witchcraft monster while this card's in the graveyard, you can place this card in your spell trap or trap zone face up. And the trap, the only trap, we got Witchcraft Masterpiece. Ooh, that's a scary name. You can only use each effect of this card's name once per turn. If you control Witchcraft monster, target one spell in either graveyard. Add one card with the same name as that card from your deck to your hand. Huh. So basically it's an on-demand add, and then I guess that could work with the Witchcraft boss monster. You can banish this card in any number of spells from your graveyard. Special summon a witchcraft monster with a level equal to the number of spells banished. This effect cannot be activated during the turn this card is sent to the graveyard. That's pretty good overall. So basically, you, for certain scenarios, want cards out of your hand to be able to use, there's a new witchcraft that was released. You want your cards out of your hand to use her. This is shaping up really nicely. Now, I don't know, it feels like it has to be played as a deck, but it feels like it can mix and match nicely with Sky Strikers, because a lot of them end up tributing themselves, freeing up for cost your spell and trap zone, work with the spells that Sky Strikers will replace, and then allow you to use those quick effects while they're tributed. This is kind of interesting. So, like, freeze your way for stuff like Widow Anchor naturally, and then they resource each other. This is pretty cool. And then let's talk about this mechanic of all the spells later on, if you haven't used them during the turn, are self-replacing, including a Rhoda for anything, not just the monsters. This deck is really shaping up nice. I could see it being like a mix and match with Sky Strikers so far, which are limited over in the OCG, so the deck building would be different here. But again, Sky Strikers could get heavily hit on the April FNL list. I really like the card design. I did not expect this from the spells. I expected the spells to do something like banish in the graveyard and get another resource, not eventually self-replace. And in a slow way, it's during your end phase, so like you activate it and then the next turn you can get it back should you not have activated another one. So like it takes away from being able to do that, and then the trap still adds a same name, thus trying not to activate that effect. It's a weird workaround here, where, like, your power comes back from not activating the same cards. This is a weird dynamic that feels really good, because the advantage will come back to you. An insane amount of advantage should you be able to turbo things out. And also, you can pitch for cost, meaning you maybe never activated during that turn, so that during the end phase, you can then go ahead and just add it back anyways. So that's also an interesting aspect. This deck is insane advantage, actually, the more I start thinking about it. I really like the card design. What do you guys think? Does it live up to the hype? Is it going to make it? I think this is going to make some top cuts. The question is where and how many, and what's it going to be able to mix with once it comes to the TCG. Subscribe if you haven't already. Hit that like button if you enjoy these late night uploads, and let me know what you think about the Witchcraft now that we know a lot more about them.